These are the software shelves at the CompUSA store in San Bruno, California. The shelves are teeming with Windows Enhancement products. It seems the first thing a new Windows user does is run right back to the computer store to buy more software to make Windows run better. But what to buy? There are more than 100 titles out there, all claiming to make Windows run faster, easier, slicker, better. Well, today we'll show you the best of the litter as we take a look at Windows Enhancement software on this edition of the Computer Chronicles.
Computer Chronicles is made possible in part by the Software Publishers Association, providers of educational materials to help manage software. Don't copy that floppy.
Welcome to the Computer Chronicles. I'm Stewart Cheifet, and with me today is Steve Fox, Senior Features Editor with PC World Magazine. Steve, you just did a whole piece on the hundreds of software enhancement products for Windows that are out there. This is a couple I just want to show our audience right now. This is Icon Do It, which is kind of neat. All these icons I can add to my desktop, but what's really fun is I can go in here and animate these icons. Say this boring DOS prompt over here. I can go in here and find something more interesting like this little scene, and boom, I now have this animated icon. I can have a whole bunch of them going. I can also go in here and actually animate my cursor. Instead of this boring little arrow which just sits there, I now have a little dancing couple, and I can do that kind of thing. All right, let's get rid of this for a second. I have one other thing up here I want to show, which is Whiskers, which is kind of neat. What Whiskers is here is a programmer that lets me decide what my mouse should do. I have all kinds of options. For example, a simple one, I've said Shift right key brings up my calendar inside Windows. I don't have to worry about where it is and calling it up and so on and so forth. There are hundreds of these things out there, Steve. Why do we need all these enhancements to Windows? Is there something wrong with Windows in the first place?
I think it's really a matter of there's something right with Windows. People are very comfortable with it, and they're living in Windows, really. And of course, as far as this goes, if there's habitation that you start with, then there's decoration. It will be really very difficult to say, for instance, that Icon Do It is a true productivity tool, although it makes life a lot more pleasant inside of Windows.
Well, it's like the office. I think you're talking about decorating your office. This becomes your office.
I mean, this becomes a virtual office. We don't know why our ancestors, for instance, painted on cave walls, but they certainly did it. And it's a lot of the same here. It's a personal computer, and this is a great way to really make it personal.
Okay, well, we are going to look at 7 Windows Enhancement products today with cutesy names like Squeegee and Rooms for Windows, WinDesk, WinMaster, WinTools, etc. Now, driving your computer under Windows is a little bit like driving your car. There's a lot to keep track of. So Hewlett-Packard played out that metaphor and came up with a Windows organizer called Dashboard.
Dashboard gives you push-button control over almost everything you do in Windows. You can launch programs directly from the dashboard by clicking on these quick launch buttons. You can add applications to the selection of hot buttons. Dashboard also gives you easy access to Windows utilities that provide information on how Windows is running and how much of your computer's resources the software is using at any particular time. Dashboard also lets you look inside your system to see exactly how it's configured and what resources are available to you. You can also set a resource alarm to alert you if you're exceeding a preset limit for memory or CPU use. Dashboard also simplifies tasks like printing and printer selection. By simply clicking on the print buttons, you can see which printers are available without having to open a separate print dialog box. Richard Gile-Gayton is the Information Systems Manager at Audio Images in San Francisco, where they use Dashboard. They've been Windows users since the first days of version 3.0, and Gile-Gayton says Dashboard is a big improvement on the basic Windows interface.
When you first install Windows, you've got 3 or 4 program groups with just a few icons in them. But as you start adding software and working with it and generating more files, it's nice to be able to create your own personal filing system, for example.
But Dashboard isn't all business. It lets you customize virtually every part of the Windows desktop, including the clock. For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Janelle Stelson.
I can in fact go from a windowed look into 123 to a full screen. What I can also do is switch these multiple windows up in front of into the foreground.
Windows was designed to simulate the real-world desktop work environment. Well, if your desktop is anything like mine, that means a pile of stuff on it and you can't find anything. Windows has certainly done a good job of recreating that environment. Here to show us, though, how to clean up that messy desktop is Eugene Evans of ICOM Simulations and also Kim Medrano of Xsoft. Kim, Xsoft is really part of Xerox PARC, and it's kind of ironic that you've come out with a product which modifies Windows, which is really an adaptation of the Macintosh interface, which is really an adaptation of the original Xerox PARC GUI. Do you guys sort of talk about that irony down there at Xerox PARC?
We do, every day, and our mission at Xsoft is to take the technology that they're working on at PARC and bring it to market and not give it away to any of our competitors.
Not anymore. Okay, Eugene, let's take a look at Squeegee now. What are you trying to do with Squeegee?
To give people instant access to the files or projects of files that they're using on a daily basis.
All right, so
at any time.
We have a blank Windows desktop here. How do I get to Squeegee?
Well, it's very easy. You click anywhere on the desktop and up pops a menu which represents the initial groups which are installed in
So these
Windows.
are my program groups.
Right. And I've actually installed directly into this menu an application Write. I make a single selection.
So
and
if
it's
I want to get to
launched.
Write, it's one button click, not running down to find
But
it.
often you use documents daily, so I've also installed this letter, which gets opened immediately as well. But as well as individual documents or applications, we could also launch a group. So for example here, while this looks like a Windows group with 2 documents, it's also, I can make a selection on the left-hand side and it launches both documents at the same time.
So you've created a group called Novel, and it pulls up several documents, each of the chapters in your
That's
novel.
right.
You don't have to individually call them up.
Yeah. And if the window fills the screen, then it's available from
You have
the
a Squeegee
menu.
icon up there. Okay, so what else can we do with Squeegee?
The second major part of Squeegee is the quick filer. This gives you 2 views into 2 different directories and allows you to perform the common functions such as copy, move, delete, rename.
So what we can do here is see 2 directories at once and all the file functions you might be doing.
Most people
with those.
do a source and destination.
Yeah.
It also has a very powerful search capability that lets you search by different criteria.
So what kind of search would we do here?
We can do a search by file name, in this case, or text files after a certain date on the current drive, and have that go off and search the drive and list those, and then make multiple selections, and even though they're spread across the entire disk, perform this common functions.
So you really make it just a little bit tidier, neater, faster, easier to find the files you need in
All
Windows.
round.
And what does Squeegee cost?
At $79.95 retail.
All right, let's turn from Squeegee to Rooms for Windows. And what approach do you take with Rooms for Windows, Kim?
The Rooms product is trying to help the user better navigate and organize their workspace. What we do is we let the user define multiple desktops so that instead of being constrained to one desktop, you can set your work out over many of them.
So that's what your rooms are, huh?
That's
all right.
right.
You've got a bunch of rooms on the screen here. Now tell me what this all means.
Right. This is the overview screen, and what I've done is I've built 7 rooms, and these are representative of functions that I might want to perform during my day.
Okay, so documents, games, graphics, you have your private little room, an overlay room, a schedule room, and a spreadsheet room.
Exactly. The large icons that you can see exploded here, these indicate that there's actually a program
That's a
running
task running
in that
right now.
room. The smaller buttons are things that are iconized or launch buttons that we make available for people to quickly launch their programs. The user can define as many rooms as he or she likes and can customize them as they see fit. We do have a special room called the overlay room. Anything you put in the overlay is automatically included in every room in your suite.
Okay, so that's what a room looks like when I blow it up?
Exactly.
Okay.
It's just another Windows
and
desktop.
the elements that are in that room.
Exactly. And what I like in my overlay room are things that I want with me throughout the day, like my clock, my program manager button, and so on.
Things that are in every room.
Exactly. A nice construct of the Rooms product is the doors. Here we have a back door. The back door always takes you to the room from which you came. It also gives you the ability to build buttons and doors to other rooms. One thing that I like is I like doors that will take me automatically to my scheduling room, because if somebody calls me for a meeting, I want to be able to quickly go and say, yes, I can take the meeting, or
So
no, I
no matter
can't.
where you're working, whatever room you're in, you can hit a schedule button and boom, there's
Right.
your
There
calendar.
it is. I just built a door.
Okay.
What that'll do is automatically drop me into my scheduling room.
Okay.
Doors are not the only way to move around the screen, though. See how the mouse changes when you move it from side to side?
Right.
That'll let you move to adjacent rooms.
So like a little adventure game, and you can go from room to room. huh?
Exactly.
Okay.
And by taking it to the top of the screen, you can get back to the overview.
Okay.
Another nice thing that we have is the ability to let users quickly build rooms by using the build room function. This goes out, and I'll say I want to create a word processing room. This will go out and search the hard disk and we'll come up with a list of suggested applications that you might want to include in such a room.
So your 2 word processors are going into the word processor.
Exactly,
right?
and I could choose to include anything in here by hitting add, or taking anything out by hitting delete. So I'll say go ahead and build that room by hitting OK. The room will be built and furnished. Notice again that everything that was in my overlay is automatically in my word processing room.
So there's your new word processing room, which is the stuff you just added plus all the overlay functions.
Exactly. There you see a Me Pro and Write. Another nice thing is that we have the ability to create launch buttons that will launch application files directly. So I'll go and show you how to do that. You can do drag and drop from the file manager, if I can get the file manager open.
Right.
What I'll do is I'll go search the hard disk for anything that has the extension WRI, indicating that I want buttons for all my write files. It's going to search and it's going to say, this is what I found. Great. I want to be able to launch all those automatically, so I'm going to drop those onto the desktop. And what they're going to do is create buttons. You see, these buttons will launch not only the file, but actually the application.
Right, that's pretty good. One question, Eugene, on these kinds of add-ons, does this now tie up even more memory and just create more problems for the overhead on Windows?
A lot of them do. Squeegee, though, has a very small footprint. It's less than 100K, which is one of the things that people find very appealing about it.
So you're not slowing things down too much?
Not at all.
All right, thank you both very much. All right, have you ever had a problem printing from Windows? Don't everybody shout yes at once. Of course you have. So a company named Xena Graphics has come out with an improved Windows print manager called SuperPrint.
SuperPrint uses the processing power of your computer to turn almost any printer into a PostScript output device. Since a hardware upgrade to your PC is usually less expensive than an upgrade to your laser printer, SuperPrint provides a low-cost upgrade path to professional quality print.
A client of ours can have a dot matrix printer running SuperPrint. They can still get a proof on their dot matrix printer that will be identical with fonts and layout and tonality to what we're going to be able to produce high-res color.
One of the secrets of SuperPrint is full 32-bit processing, taking advantage of the horsepower already inside your 386 or 486 PC. Another nice feature of SuperPrint is that Windows treats it as just another application, so it doesn't eat up big chunks of memory or disk space. All these features make it a good printing option for serious graphics users.
When you're outputting to things like 35mm slides, where there is a 2-hour delay or more between when you originally imaged the file and when you see the finished film, it's not like redoing something you just put out through a laser printer. If it doesn't come out right, you can just redo it.
SuperPrint comes with the optional Z-Script interpreter, which can translate PostScript into either GDI or PCL formats. And at under $300 for the whole bundle, it can be a lot less expensive than going out and buying a new printer.
At this point, I'd say that without SuperPrint, we couldn't get from Windows to a high-resolution film recorder without going into about $15,000 additional in hardware.
For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Janelle Stelson.
The Windows Program Manager and File Manager are okay, but they're often hard to find and hard to use. Here to show us 3 Windows organizers that make it easier to manage your desktop are Phil Cedar of PC Quick and Carol Schweitzer of Tool Technology. Carol, one of the things you're going to show us is WinTools, and it's kind of interesting. You were saying that, in fact, started out as a shareware program, didn't it?
Yes, it did. It started out as a Poria. 2 to 3 years ago, there was a recognized need that Windows wasn't quite delivering what a lot of people expected it to for the PC users. So we developed from a Poria.
Oh. All right, now let's turn to WinMaster, which is your product from PC Quick. And what does WinMaster do to help me use Windows?
Well, basically, Stuart, WinMaster is a set of 6 different utilities that either make Windows run faster, your machine run faster, or you work better with Windows.
All right, so I see, is this your toolbar we see now?
Yeah, this is called Toolbox. This is a toolbar that helps you launch applications or open files. For example, I've set one up here that has approximately 8 different applications in it. Has a file find, a run tool, an exit tool, and a restart tool that actually take you out of Windows or restart Windows, copy, delete, rename, and then some Windows applications I put in also. The nice thing about Toolbar is you can just click on a button and up comes whatever you want to run. And not only that, but you can pop up a toolbox from whatever environment you're in. So here I am in File Manager. I can hit the right mouse double click, and up pops the toolbar. And
so anytime you're anywhere, you can just double click and get the toolbar.
Or you can use hotkeys, or you can even set it to always float on top of the screen if you so choose. Another thing we did with the application is we really built ease of use into it as the #1 design priority. So for example, if I want to add an application to a toolbox, I can just pick something out like Control Panel here, drag it over, drop it on the toolbox, click OK, and there over on the right-hand side
button for the control panel.
The new button, and it's ready to go.
That was easy.
Yes, very easy to use. Doesn't make you rethink the Windows environment, doesn't make you learn any complex macros or controls. The second thing I want to show you is what we call Quick Vault. I just opened up the Quick Vault there with the toolbox click. This is our file compression and storage utility that helps you get more from your hard disk by compressing files. I can go in, and what I need to do is grab some files. In this case, I'm grabbing a whole directory. I'm going to drag it down, drop it on the Vault icon, and it's compressed and stored and then removed to a special place in the directory structure. If I want to get those files back, I just double-click on the Quick Vault. There's the directory I just compressed, and all I need to do is click Restore. One of the nice things about Quick Vault is it remembers where things came from, so it'll put them back right where they came from. As I said, there are 6 utilities in the package. Right down here is part of our system information utility. This is a little meter that's actually showing us how our CPU is acting as I'm giving the demo.
So what does that percentage figure mean?
That means that right now we're using 9% of our CPU power. Our Quick Info utility does have a number of these meters, so you can actually analyze performance as you work in Windows. We also have a disk defragmenter, a disk cache, and a RAM disk that all come together in the package.
What does WinMaster sell for, Phil?
Its suggested retail price is $129.95.
All right, let's turn to you, Carol, and you're going to show us, I guess, first of all, WinDesk, which is a kind of easier version of WinTools. Is that the idea?
Yes, WinDesk is for all Windows users. Both of these products are alternative interfaces. So we replace your program, file, and task managers.
All right, now which one do we have up here right now?
This is WinDesk.
Okay, and tell us what it does.
Yes, everything in WinDesk is included in WinTools. What we give you instead is a set of basic tools that are your building blocks to creating your own desktop. And in this way, you can make a copy of anything on the desktop simply by dropping it on the copy tool. You can get rid of anything on the desktop by dragging it to trash. We give you all the things you're used to in your program manager groups, and from there you can build and actually use your desktop. So I'd like to show you file management and how we've improved on that. We really take the idea of visual computing to the next level. Everything can be controlled with mouse drag and drop to graft and prune your tree, copy and move using mouse control. There's also keyboard support. All the pull-down menu functions that you've been doing are now automated. You just simply double-click on, for instance, putting this in date order or in detail order or by kind. We let you view 3 different directories at a time, and any type of file can be pulled right out onto the desktop. So this BMP file I can pull out. I can easily close down this whole tree directory by pushing Close Open for all Windows, so we're automating a lot of the things you do. And then I can change everything about the file that I've pulled onto the desktop. This is your desktop, and why not easily have that be represented by something that you're going to remember? So you can change the font, the color, you can go beyond the 8-character DOS name. So here, this was a tartan plaid BMP. Let's see what we can find. How about the checks? So now, in a very simple way, you have created a customized tool on the desktop. With one double click, you'll launch the application and the file. So I've created an example of maybe how you could organize your cluttered desktop. Maybe you have 3 top clients, and you could easily put together a desk for your #1 client that included financial files, word processing files, database files. And you can see this idea of customizing with the icons.
So I can regroup those files any way that's functional for me.
Exactly. So that's what we've done with organizing your desktop. We've also really assisted in automating the PC user and working through their applications. We have a universal toolbar for all the major applications. And in this way, you would run our Word toolbar or WordPerfect or Lotus above your open application.
So whatever application I'm in, I use the same toolbar.
Yes, you would double-click on printer to reconfigure your printer. So that's a quick tour of Windesk.
Okay, yeah, quickly, let's make sure we get to WinTools. There's only a little bit of time left.
Okay. WinTools includes everything I've shown you, plus this idea of having more desktops to organize your work. So in this way, I can move up to this desktop.
Okay, so each of those little boxes is another desktop?
Yes, and we allow you to have up to 16 open. So I have Quicken open with my files I go to most often, my automated toolbar. I can move over to the main screen of WinTools, and you can see that we've also included a few extra automation tools, DDE and keystroke. I also can launch multiple programs with one double click. I'm going to launch 3 different Windows applications in that feature called Big Sky with the more desktops available to you. So Paintbrush is opening, and also we'll have Notepad and Calendar.
So with one click, I open 3 things at a time, right?
We also include networking features. WinTools is designed for anyone who is setting up Windows on a network. And in this way, you can assign rights to each individual tool. So you can lock down a consistent interface.
Carol, thank you very much. They're both very impressive products. All right, that is today's look at software enhancements for Windows. Next week, we'll show you the best hardware add-ons for Windows. Up next, this week's computer news on Random Access.
In the Random Access file this week, Epson has announced a new computer called the Progression. It's the first PC to utilize WinGen video technology to improve Windows performance by up to 10 times. WinGen uses what Epson calls virtual cache technology. It's standard 16-bit VGA with extensions that allow the system to directly access VRAM display memory as system memory. Toshiba is slashing prices on its satellite notebook computers by up to 17%. Toshiba also cut prices by up to 8% on its AC-powered T6400 portables. The new year is not bright for Big Blue. IBM announced it will lay off some 25,000 workers in an effort to cut its manufacturing capacity. IBM also plans to cut spending on product development by $1 billion next year. Borland says it plans to lay off 15% of its workforce. Borland faces stiffer competition in the database market from Microsoft's Fox Pro and Access. Hewlett-Packard had some good economic news this week. Infocorp says HP is now #1 in the mid-range computer market. This is the first time HP has passed digital equipment in the mini market. Taking a look at the best-selling entertainment software titles this week, according to Egghead Software, King's Quest VI is the #1 program on the PC. SimCity Supreme and Sim Life both made the best 5-seller list for Mac users. Next Christmas, look for a new video game platform to rival Nintendo. Matsushita and Electronic Arts are rumored to be jointly developing a CD-ROM-based game computer for 3D games at home. And finally, if you thought you could escape commercials when playing computer games, you're wrong. Telephone giant Sprint will be the first to try this medium to reach you. They've placed a commercial plug in Sierra Online's 3D interactive game, Space Quest 5. Look out for it early next year. That's it for this week's Computer Chronicles. I'm Janelle Stelson.
Computer Chronicles is made possible in part by the Software Publishers Association, providers of educational materials to help manage software. Don't copy that floppy.
Video cassette copies of this program are available. Computer Chronicles also publishes a companion newsletter containing details on products demonstrated, plus background information on program topics. To order a video cassette or a subscription to the newsletter, call 1-800-366-9484 or write Computer Chronicles. Please specify program subject for tapes. All orders include a free software program for auditing software use and information on the definitive guide to keeping your organization's software legal.
You'll find that it's a dramatically different approach to spreadsheets.
A new era has dawned in computer spreadsheets. On the next Computer Chronicles, we'll take a look at the newest of the new products that redefine what a spreadsheet can do. Rearrange your data, create potential best and worst scenarios, all with graphics that are simpler and easier to understand. New Age Spreadsheets on the next Computer Chronicles.